Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Mr. Schwartz. For a lot of you, this is the first time, that you've seen me upload a video in about, I think it's 3 years now, going on 3. And second, this is the first time you'll actually have seen me in front of the camera. So, for those of you who have some sort of preconceived notion about what I actually looked like in real life, more than likely you're disappointed, and for that I'm sorry. But it is what it is. This is what I look like. So before I get to the main subject of what I want to talk about today, I just want to make it clear that this unfortunately does not constitute a huge return to my channel for me. Basically, doing YouTube videos was and always will be just a hobby for me, and I have so many other hobbies that I like to do that it came time that I needed to cut down on something. My life was just getting a little bit too complicated, having gotten married about 3 years ago now, and having adopted 2 puppies since then, and raising them from puppydom. That, in addition to my job, in addition to my other hobbies and interests that I wanted to do, I had to make a sacrifice somewhere, and unfortunately, YouTube was where I had to do it. If nothing else, then because my videos are basically just another teaching lesson. And when you do teaching as your job for 8 hours a day, more than likely, a lot of times the last thing you want to do is come home and record another teaching video. Like, my voice was just done at that point, and I had other obligations, being both a husband and a father to 2 lovely doggos. So, while this doesn't constitute a huge return to my channel for me, I will try to, if nothing else, do a couple videos where I talk more about the kind of supplies that I use for my art pieces and why. I'll give you demos about the materials that I like to use. I'll do some quick videos, mainly just talking about like the different types of materials you can use for the best results for whatever it is you want to do, some of my tips and tricks, maybe a few quick tutorials here and there, but I'm not going to promise anything. Just know that I'll try to maybe get a video or 2 out in the near future, but I can't guarantee anything. Life has a habit of getting in the way. But I did want to sit down today and talk with you face to face about something that has been of a sort of morbid and grim fascination for me for the past 6 months, and it has everything to do with what you see behind me right there. It's often said that you should never meet your heroes. And the reason for that's often given is because when you have a hero, when you have someone that you admire for whatever reason, for acts that they've done, for the kind of philosophies that they hold, anything like that, when you meet them in person, you will have built up in your mind, it's guaranteed, almost everyone does it, you will have built up in your mind a preconceived notion of the kind of person that they are and the kind of person that they should be, because after all, they're your hero. And when you figure out that your hero is a human being with flaws and imperfections, it can be crushing. It really can, and it happens to everybody. Personally, I am all for the idea of meeting your heroes as long as you go in with the right expectation, that knowing that they're human and knowing that there are things that they have done wrong. For instance, I'm a big fan of comic books and going to comic book conventions. And for example, I've had artists and writers that I greatly admire, like Greg Rucka, sign works that they wrote, or wrote and drew, like Darwin Cook. Unfortunately, the late Darwin Cook, rest in peace. He did an excellent little Green Lantern drawing for me right there. Colin Bunn, another writer that I greatly admire. He was kind enough to sign Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. Interesting little, very, very short series. I recommend it. It's decently enjoyable, but Colin Bunn himself is a very nice guy. And of course, Scott Snyder, the Batman writer for a lot of people, myself included, this was the first work of his that I got that like truly inspired me. I had read Batman comics up to this point, but this was the first one that truly caught my interest and made me realize, oh, Batman can be a lot more than just punching the bad guy. And it was after this that I got introduced to Batman the Animated Series. Scott Snyder was also kind enough to go ahead and sign this for me. I don't know what he said underneath my name. I really don't know what that says. If you do, go ahead and post it in the comments down below. But every time I've met these heroes of mine, varying in scale of how great of a hero they are to me, they've been very, very nice. They've been very kind, very open, very warm. So that kind of brings me to the subject matter of, again, what's right behind me right here. The series in question is called Rurouni Kenshin. And for those of you who are not in the know, Rurouni Kenshin is a Japanese comic book, or otherwise known as a manga, written and drawn by a man named Nobihiro Watsukis. This has the distinction of being the first manga that I ever read of my own volition. I purchased copies of a compilation of several chapters of different manga stories in a collection called Shonen Jump. And after that, I started noticing volumes for this of manga available in my bookstores, local bookstores. And so I bought actually the second volume of this. This is the collections where they're 3 in 1. But I bought the second volume of the whole series, and it fascinated me so much. I said, whoa, what is this art style that's so different from the normal comic books that I've grown up with, the American comic books? This doesn't look anything like Batman or Superman or Spider-Man or the X-Men. What is going on here? And so I flipped through it, and I was utterly fascinated. Number one, because it reads from right to left as opposed to the other way around. And for another, the story was so interesting. It was in black and white, but it was so ridiculously detailed. I said, whoa, this is amazing. So Rurouni Kenshin has if you can't tell, it has the honor of being the first manga that I ever read and the first manga that I ever completed. It was one of the few manga that actually finishes. That's a whole other video in and of itself. But I have all 9 volumes all 28 volumes that they collected into 9 bigger editions like this here. You can see that's quite substantial. And it really is my absolute favorite manga that I've ever read. I've read this numerous times. I always find something else to enjoy and to love about this series. It's thanks to this that I learned about manga. It's thanks to this that by extension I learned about anime and what that was and how that differed from American cartoons. It's thanks to Rurouni Kenshin that I developed the art style that I have today, which, as you can see here, is very much inspired by the manga stylings of Japan. And to this day, I still love to recreate pages of manga just for studies on anatomy and dynamic camera positioning. This is a page from a manga called Sunken Rock. Very much recommended. So as you can tell, I very much admire Nobihiro Watsukis. And going back to You Should Never Meet Your Heroes, Watsukis never seemed like that to me. Because in the back of each of these volumes, he would always have little pictures of himself, drawing himself like really doofy, really silly. He's like, oh, I can't believe that I'm having as much success as I am. Like, oh, you guys are amazing. I love you guys so much. He always seemed very kind, very warm, very humble. That's the thing. He always seemed very humble and very approachable. I related to this guy. There's asides that he also did inside here as extras as well that paint a picture of a man who is very kind and very warm. And a guy that you'd want to get to know. And then the news came out about 6 months ago. The news was that as part of an ongoing investigation, the Japanese government they inspected Watsukis' home and place of work. And what they found there, unfortunately, was combined about 100 different DVDs that contained child pornography. Over 100. They were at his home. They were at his place of work. He was also quoted in a statement he gave to the police that he preferred girls that were between the ages of 10 and 13. Now, you see, there are some people that, upon hearing news like this, they said some things along the lines of, oh, well, you know, that's bad. Of course it's bad. But it's not as bad as if he had actually committed those horrible acts with an underage individual. To which I say, yes and no. Yes, in that it's good that he didn't act upon the obvious impulses that he has, as, unfortunately, a pedophile. But it's not good in terms of he spent his own money, the money that he gained from the success of his manga, the success of the anime series that was based off of his work. He used the money that he got as from his series, and he spent it on child pornography. He supported an industry that thrives on the exploitation of small children. Basically, they're slaves, human trafficking. He supported that industry with the profits that he gained from his works. Not just this one, he has other ones, but this is the main one. Of course, when you learn about something like this, naturally I was in a state of shock at first. But what I really wanted to know, more than anything else, was what kind of judgment would be passed down from the Japanese government on this man who had this giant collection of unsavory items. Well, 6 months later, we finally got an answer. He is going to be fined a fine of 200,000 yen and is going to serve no jail time, and after he's paid the fine, he's allowed to just go back to work. He's actually working, apparently, on a reboot or remake or sequel to Rurouni Kenshin. I haven't really bothered because to me Rurouni Kenshin was a perfect story. Didn't need anything else to it. You would probably think that 200,000 yen would be a lot of money. Like, that's a lot of money, $200,000? Except that the Japanese yen is worth a lot less 1-to-1 than the US dollar is. So 200,000 yen equates to about $1,800 here in the US. To someone like Watsuki, who has such a monumental success on his hand with Rurouni Kenshin, it's still selling to this day. There's a trilogy of live-action movies. He had another reboot a couple years back of this. He's working on another one now. $1,800 to him really seems like nothing more than just a little slap on the wrist. And that disturbs me. It disturbs me to know that, number one, that this man that I have admired for so long, that I've emulated a lot of my life around, rather by proxy or not. A lot of my things that I do today for my own interest and my own fun are formed from my initial interactions with his work. And to know that he is a pedophile, let's just say it as it is, to know that he has hoarded a collection of child pornography, and to know that there are not going to be consequences other than that small fine, it bothers me, and it disturbs me, and it honestly does sicken me. And it kind of answers a question that's been brewing in my mind for the past 6 months, and it's a question that I am interested to hear all of your thoughts on, too. It's not about Watsuki and his actions. That can be debated, and this is just my personal opinion. But the question that I've had in the back of my mind all this time is, can I separate the creator from his creation in my mind? Can I look past the actions and the kind of person that the creator is in order to still enjoy his creation that I have enjoyed for so long? And I think this is a different thing for everybody. Everyone's going to have different opinions on this, and it usually will depend on the media, and it will depend on the severity in the person's eyes of the actions of the individual. It's the same thing that happens with a lot of Hollywood directors and a lot of Hollywood actors. Knowing what you know about the person when it comes out. Can you still enjoy things that they did that you did before? And unfortunately, knowing now the kind of punishment that he got, which is basically not much at all, I've decided that I can't. And that hurts me to my core, that I can't enjoy Rurouni Kenshin like I did for probably over 12 years at this point, if not more, probably closer to 15 years. I have loved this manga series. But every time that I open this, any of these volumes, anytime that I read through it, I try to enjoy it, all I can think about is the guy who wrote this is a disgusting monster. And then I have to put it down. I can't do it. Me personally, in this case, I am not able to separate creator from the creation and just enjoy the creation. Because there are people that will say, once the creation is out in the world, it is no longer the creator's possession. Anyone who takes a hold of that person's creation will attach your own meanings to it, will attach your own ideas to it, will take unique perspectives of the creation that the creator maybe didn't intend. And to that extent, you will make it your own. So if you can still enjoy Rurouni Kenshin despite what Watsuki's done, then that's amazing. That's really good for you. This is not an objective, you cannot like this anymore sort of deal. This is just me. Just the kind of person that I am. I can't read this anymore. And it hurts me, and it's saddened me for a very long time. I've only able to get this out to you now over a week after I made the decision to move these from my bookshelf, from the place of honor on my bookshelf, to my garage. I have also decided, though, that doesn't extend to the adaptation of his work, the anime series, as well as a separate, shorter series detailing an arc of the manga that was never established here in the anime. And those of you that are in the know, yes, this is a bootleg of the Rurouni Kenshin anime, but they have never reprinted it from the initial copies that we have, so that's why seasons 1, 2, and 3 are like $100 to $200. And I got the entire series at my local used electronic goods store for $12. So I think I'll take this. But I have thought about this, and I've decided that while I cannot read this series anymore, I can and will love and enjoy the series, the animated version of the story. This adds voices to the series, this adds movement, this adds color, this adds different story progressions, this adds new characters with its filler arcs, this adds music, this changes the original material, and Watsuki never wrote, as far as I know, he never wrote an episode of this series, nor did he direct it. This is someone else's vision, using the characters and setting that Watsuki provided. And to that extent, I am and will enjoy this version of the story. But I cannot do it with the manga any longer. So again, I just wanted to get this out to all of you. I wanted to give a kind of a pseudo update about what's been going on too. I've just been kind of going on my own artistic journey for the last 3 years, as well as just learning to be a husband, learning to be a dog father. And I just wanted to get this out there, get my thoughts out there, and let me know what you guys think. Let me know, I'm curious to know about how you would take the news that your favorite series or your favorite book had, if something unsavory or unpleasant was revealed about the creator of that work. How would you react? Would you do the same thing that I did? Would you throw the material on the fire and burn it? I mean, that's a little bit extreme, but if that's what you want to do. So thank you if you sat through this amazingly long or little rant of mine. Not even a rant, just this amazingly long little spiel of mine. And I'll try to get maybe a video or two out in the next couple months. It is a summer month, so it gives me a little bit more time. But I do have other obligations that I have to attend to. So thank you all for staying subscribed. Thank you for somehow getting me to, I think, 3,000 subscribers. Like, I've gained 2,000 subscribers since I have not uploaded anything. And I'm not sure how to feel about that. But there you go. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Mr. Schwartz, signing off for now. Have yourselves a good day.